Scaling your team should not mean losing your identity. This video is for you if you're building something bigger than yourself. And if you're like me, you did not get into this whole thing of being an entrepreneur and founding a company and being the CEO of a company to build something small. You did this to build a legacy, and it should be bigger than yourself. That's why you're in this. But the fear that as your team grows, the culture could slip is a real concern that people have. But let me be clear, growth doesn't have to kill culture. Lack of clarity is what kills culture. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to create a culture code that scales. So every new hire gets it from day one, and the values that got you here, they actually take you forward. You can transfer them to the people that are the extension of your vision. I'm Brett from brettcpayne.com. And I help founders like you scale without becoming the bottleneck. I don't want you to be the bottleneck. I was the bottleneck in my own company. I'm going to try to help you not to do that. And I want you to be able to scale so that you can keep your values intact as your team grows. Because if your culture only works when you are in the room, it's not culture, it's just charisma. You're just the person to light everything up. What you need to happen is when you leave the room, the culture still exists. So let's start on a process to change that if you are stuck in that situation. We want your culture to really grow and thrive. I'm going to give you a few anchors to help you do this. Anchor number one, name the DNA before you duplicate it. Culture dilution really starts when you assume that everyone just gets it. Like they're around you, they kind of get it, like it just kind of should make sense to them. But the answer is they actually don't get that. Before you can scale your values, you have to name them. What do you protect? What do you reward? What gets connected? You got to write it down and turn those instincts into really a language. And you have to make that behavior into really something that's very, very clear for people. And this becomes the first line of your culture code. I have a brick and mortar business that has locations around in different places. And I remember walking into one of the locations I have here in Springfield, Missouri. And as you walked in, we moved to a different building. As you walked into the front lobby area, there was a wall maybe 4 feet wide and tall. There was nothing on it. It was kind of a corner. And I just sat there and looked at that thing. And I was thinking about the reason why I actually built this particular business. It's called Contender Esports. And so people come, they play video games, and you might not understand how that works, whatever, but it's really about mentoring people who are doing something that they all like to do together. And I have staff that mentors them. And it's, we expect them to have a place where parents can bring kids or even adults can come in, and there's an expectation of how you kind of behave yourself and carry yourself. Because when people play video games, to be quite honest with you, it can get toxic. And so you need to know how to work with other people. You need to know what to do if somebody offends you. There's all kinds of things. I could talk about that for ages. But I looked at that wall and I thought, what can I do on that wall to really set the pace for what this place is and set the culture for it? And I wrote out this long kind of like mantra about what it is to be a contender. And I tried to make it super inspiring and to say, like, we're raising the bar here. So that means in very practical ways that you're going to have manners, you're going to be polite, you're going to take challenges and you're going to overcome them. You're going to experience defeat, but you're going to have people around you to help you understand how to deal with those kind of things. Really life lessons that are on this post. I made a poster out of it and I put it up on that wall. And when people come in for the very first time, I always make sure that our visitors or guests, that they are having these conversations while seeing this poster so they can see this is more than just people playing video games. Like, we're really trying to create something. So you have to decide, like I did, you have to decide what the DNA is for your business. And you've got to put it in different places so people can see it. I've got another really good friend here in town who runs a really successful electric company. And when you walk into his building, you might think like it's just going to be a building with electricians and things like that. It is nothing but culture around his building. You see what he's trying to inspire it with his staff and with people who are coming in. And most of it has nothing to do with business. It's just about being a better person. But that's who he is. And that is what he has put around his building and in his business. And you might want to do similar things like that. Anchor number 2, build your culture into the onboarding arc. Most culture codes get emailed as a PDF, like here's our vision, here's our mottos, here's our whatever. But they never get mentioned again. Like, it's not what they see. It's not what your staff sees. It's not maybe on your website. It's not what they're thinking about. It's not on their shirts. It's just not there. But culture isn't a document. It's an experience, right? It needs to be something that people feel from you, and they need to be reminded of it in little ways around the place where you are at. In my offices, you can see behind me, I've got a wall, and it says believe. I call it the believe wall. Why did I do that? Because it's in this office where I built one of the franchises I have. And when I built it, I remember people saying to me, Brett, people have tried this before. Like, it just doesn't work. This was 6 years ago. And I go, I think it does work. I think they've missed a couple key components in how to make this thing function. And I really was presented from day one as an underdog to overcome all of these things. The first location that I ever put in my particular city was opened up in February of 2020. And 5 weeks later, it was shut down because of COVID. So not only was it an underdog in the industry, I was an underdog just because of the world, right? So I remember it was months after that thinking, well, this is really tough. I'm going to make it work. And I remember sitting in this office thinking about this whole underdog thing. And I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go on eBay. And before I go on eBay, I'm going to get a list of the top underdogs in sports. I love sports. And who are these underdogs? And I got a list of all these kinds of things. And then I got on eBay and I started looking for memorabilia. So if you look over my shoulder, you will see every single thing that is back there is from some sporting event or a situation in a sporting event that represents an underdog in that particular sport. I have an autographed photo back there of the 1980 Olympic hockey team. Above that, there's the jersey, a signed jersey from Rudy. If you've ever seen the movie Rudy, there's memorabilia from football teams. There's memorabilia from baseball teams. There's all these kinds of memorabilia about being an underdog. Why did I do all that? Culture, right? It can't be shared with someone. I want the culture here to be the name of the company, which is Contender. We're challenged in our life to overcome, to be the best that we can be. And I know it's wrapped up in that particular business in video games, but I want the culture to be bigger than that. And so I try to bake that idea into every part of our process as part of the experience. In onboarding, I use stories, real examples. You can do this in your business. I walk new hires through these values so that they show up in action. They actually see it happening, right? They should feel the culture by week one, not just read about it from me. By the way, if you're building a company that doesn't need babysitting to scale, hit subscribe, okay? This channel is for founders like you who want clarity and they want growth. Anchor number 3, reinforce through rituals. Culture doesn't live in posters only, though I have them. It lives in habits, right? So I do have the poster in that particular business, but my staff also, they know this culture because they spend time with me and we talk about these kinds of things. When I hire them, to be honest with you, I might spend 30 minutes with somebody. The first 20 minutes of that, I'm not even talking about the job. I just want to know them. And I've had people come to work for me. And by the end of that, before we ever talked about the job, they have tears in their eyes. And I would say to them, what are you thinking right now? And they said, I've never had anybody really talk to me about my life. And I go, well, that's the most important thing to me. We're going to talk about the job in just a minute, but I have to understand who you are as a person. And that right there, before they ever get hired, represents the kind of culture that I want to have in my businesses. You've got to turn your values into visible rituals. They've got to see it. You got to feel it with your customers, with your staff members. Let me give you a few examples. Just weekly wins that align with your values. Just share those weekly wins with people. Look for those monthly shout outs you can do. They're based on the team principles that you have. Really celebrate your staff members or celebrate different people that are working with you so they know that you care about them. You can have these one-on-ones that just ask value-driven questions. Like, I love to find the questions that really make people think. And when I'm sitting with people or I'm even with them for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, like, you want to be present with them, right? And ask them about their life. So if I go and I see a staff member, we talk about a couple things, we'll talk about a couple business things, but I quickly change the topic to talk about just them, like what's going on in their life, not to be nosy, but just to be there with them, to be present with them. And I think that matters. It's part of the culture. You can do that too in your company for sure. So let me ask you, what's one part of your company's culture that you'd never want to lose. Like, no matter how big you grow, you could have 1,000 people. What's the one thing you don't want to lose? Would you put that in the comments for me? Maybe we can protect that together. That'd be fun. Anchor number 4, measure it like it matters. Most leaders never check if their culture is actually working. And here's how you can do that. You can send out quarterly pulse checks. Just put on your calendar. How are things going? How are things going in your family? How are you feeling about your job? Are you clear on the vision? Is there anything you need? What do you need from me? What's the most important thing I can give to you? Is there anything you're lacking from me? You can ask the managers to score cultural alignment. Have them look at their departments, or if they're maybe one person in their department or 2 people or whatever, have them give you some feedback about how the culture you're creating there is being transferred over to your staff members. And you can track the values behind these key decisions too. So as you're making decisions in your company, you can watch, like, does this fit with who we really are? You can't protect what you don't measure. I mean, that's just the truth, right? And if you're not measuring alignment, you're leaving it by chance. You don't want to do that. Anchor number 5, codify it into every system. Okay. This is where it really gets real. If your values aren't tied to how you hire or how you onboard or how you run meetings or even how you fire people, then they're just nice words on a wall or in a PDF that you sent to people. So you've got to codify the culture. You got to bake it into the operation. It's got to be a part of what you're doing. You got to make the culture code really operational. You don't want it just to be aspirational, like we're searching for this thing. You want it to be part of what you're doing. So you want to see how to do that without grinding your business to a halt, then you can just go watch the video that I have for you called How to Improve Business Processes Without Slowing Down Your Team. That would be the next video. That would be the best move you can make after watching this one, because these things take time. But if you watch that video, it will help you to apply what I'm talking about here. And that video is going to show you how to connect values to workflows without killing momentum. So the link is in the description for you. You can build a culture that scales. You really can. One that new hires, they instantly connect with in your team. They actually live out. It's very, very possible, but culture's not going to scale on your charisma alone. I know you're fantastic, charismatic kind of person, but it's going to take more than that. You've got to see it flow into everything else that you're doing. It needs systems underneath it. So really take the time, go watch How to Improve Business Processes Without Slowing Down Your Team. That's where the structure is going to meet your identity. Okay. You've got to have both sides of it. And that's how your values are going to stick for the long haul. The link is in the description for you. Let's build a business that people feel, not a business that they just work for.